In this season of graduations, the Jewish Parents Forum asked me to offer a few reflections aimed at this year's graduates from high school and college. I am, of course, honored to do so. So let me begin with a thought experiment. Imagine you are an actor or actress starring unexpectedly in the greatest play ever written, a mystery story that promises to reveal the very meaning of human existence, moving from revelation to tragedy to triumph. Imagine that the rest of the world is watching you and wondering about you and worshiping God with your songs and psalms. And now imagine it is the third act of this grand improbable story. Would you quietly walk off the stage, or hide in the corner of the theater, or let your enemies turn off the lights? I believe that this is the very question that every young Jew must answer. To be a Jew or not to be a Jew. To embrace or reject our unique role in the divine drama. To play our great part or live forever off stage. For like it or not, we have a big role in the transcendent theater of history. The great Jewish intellectual Milton Himmelfarb captured this in 1967, writing a few months after Israel had miraculously recaptured the ancient holy city of Jerusalem. The number of Jews in the world is smaller than a small statistical error in the Chinese census, he wrote. Yet we remain bigger than our numbers. Big things seem to happen around us and to us. Or in my own words, as go the Jews, so goes the West and the world. As a young man, the idea that the Jews were summoned to play the most important role in world history would never have occurred to me. I remember my own high school graduation all too well, as the only Jew, so far as I can remember, at a Protestant boarding school. The ghosts of American greatness were everywhere, with my own Jewish name soon to be carved on the wooden plaqued walls, alongside former presidents named Roosevelt and secretaries of state named Atchison. And yet no one thought to ask me the right question. Do you understand the significance of your own Hebraic heritage? Back then, I did not. I was a disinterested Jew. But the very question itself, what does it mean to be Jewish, might have awakened me then from my Jewish slumber. At Tikvah, we educate hundreds of remarkable young Jews. We try to invite them, meaning you, the students and graduates that I hope are watching this, onto the great stage of Jewish history. And we try our best to instill in you the most important Jewish virtue for the modern age, moral courage. For without moral courage, the modern Jew will walk quietly off the stage or cede the theater entirely to our enemies. The Jewish lights will go out. The divine drama will end. We cannot let this happen, and we won't let this happen, because as Jews we know that a few good questions can turn the tide of Jewish history. So here it goes. 18 questions, 18 being a good Jewish number, to weigh and ponder as you decide how to answer your own Jewish calling. First, why is the greatest painting in human history, the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, a poetic depiction of the foundational stories of the Hebrew Bible, beginning with God's creation of Adam? Why do David's Psalms, a series of poems written thousands of years ago, still stir the human heart? Why does the Liberty Bell, the greatest symbol of American freedom, have words inscribed from the book of Vayikra? Why did Abraham Lincoln, the greatest orator in American history, rely so heavily on the language and imagery of Hebrew Scripture? Why did George Eliot, the greatest novelist in human history, write an epic tale about the Jewish return to Israel, writing it more than 2 decades before the great Zionist founder Theodor Herzl published his manifesto on creating the Jewish state? Why did Mark Twain, the master American writer, publish an essay wondering about the secret of Jewish immortality, whereas all the greatest empires of the world, from Egypt to Persia to Greece to Rome, filled the planet with sound and splendor, then faded to dream stuff and passed away? Why did the Jewish dissident, the hero Natan Sharansky, locked away for 9 years in a Soviet prison cell, maintain hope that he would one day return to Israel? Why do most Jews, including those who pay little regular attention to the rhythms of Jewish life, suddenly turn to Jewish ritual in the most transcendent moments of existence: birth, marriage, and death? Why do many young American Jews move to Israel to volunteer for the Israeli Defense Forces, knowing that they may face mortal dangers and threats they would never confront in America? Why, in a world in which many nations torture and imprison and dehumanize their own people, is Israel the most vilified nation at the UN? Why does the Hebrew Bible seem to understand from the beginning that good societies will always need powerful armies to defend themselves against their enemies? Why did God command human beings to be fruitful and multiply, as if he knew that one of the threats to human existence might one day be the revolt against children, just as we are seeing today with birth rates collapsing in the world's most technologically advanced societies? Why does Rabbi Meir Soloveichik, one of the most significant rabbinic intellectuals in the world today, take special pleasure in leading Jewish prayer services among the ruins of defunct empires that once oppressed the Jewish people? Why did the Harvard professor Ruth Weiss laugh mockingly as a young woman when one of the greatest Jewish poets in history suggested that she study Yiddish literature, only to realize eventually that Yiddish literature stands tall among the greatest works of human creativity ever produced? Why did the Catholic novelist Walker Percy once begin an essay by asking, "Where are the Hittites?" His point being that the greatest miracle in history, the message in the bottle of history, is the improbable existence of the Jews. If the biggest problem we face today is the erosion of our moral compass, can Jewish ideas help save America in the West? And what if the fate of Jewish history, from the call of Abraham to the rebirth of Israel, ultimately rested on you? Would you heed that call or walk away? And finally, my 18th question: how did the Jews preserve hope in the face of so many trials for so many centuries in so many disparate lands? Tikvah, the name of the organization that brings us together today, means hope. Hope is the celebration of life's remarkable joys and transcendent purpose, even in dark and difficult times. Hope is the resilience to fight for life, holiness, and national purpose, even in the face of illness, loneliness, and war. Hope is the faith that today's challenges are preludes to tomorrow's redemption, and that the grand story of the Jewish people is destined for a triumphant ending. Yes, we Jews are smaller than a statistical error in the Chinese census. Yet big things happen to us and through us. And because we are a small yet indispensable people, every Jew counts. You count. Your purpose is grand. Your Jewish calling awaits. To be a Jew or not to be a Jew, that is the question your life will have to answer. And I cannot imagine any greater purpose than heeding your Jewish summons with courage, conviction, and a covenantal spirit that elevates every moment of your life to something of eternal significance. Thank you, and good luck.